Okay. Facebook 1, go live. Facebook 2, go live. And YouTube is live. All right. So, hello, everyone. We are live. Shane,
Aloha, everybody. Buenos dias and good evening. Bon venon.
hello back to you.
Mm. So I want to say to everyone here, thank you and joining us for another helpful edition of The Vanishing Point. My name is Shane Grant, and alongside me, as always, is a friend of mine. I honestly think of him as a bit of a mentor at times, Mr. Deigratia Daniels. What's good, D?
Hey, what's up, Shane? Appreciate that. Hey, man, I'm doing good today and ready for it. See what you got for us tonight.
Indeed. We actually have a guest with us tonight, don't we, D?
That's right. Who's this guest we got on here? He tried to creep open in here.
Mm. So I'll give a brief introduction here. So we the Vanishing Point are working with SingularityU, and we're associated with SingularityU Atlanta chapter. And so we often get the opportunity to meet many a colorful character as we're just going for there. We've had one of the individuals of our chapter has decided to join us tonight. So before I introduce him, I want to point out to everyone that we are sponsored by Singularity U Atlanta chapter. So if you are interested in perhaps getting a more closer touch with us or interested in some of the technological talks that we're going to be showcasing tonight, please contact us at the Singularity U Atlanta chapter. But without further ado, I want to introduce all of you guys to Mithril. I'm like Mithril. Please, Mithril, give everyone just talk to the people. Let them know who you are.
Definitely, Shane. Thanks for that, and hi, Deigratia.
Hey, what's
Hi,
up?
everybody. A little about Singularity University. We are the Atlanta chapter for the SU Global community, and as always, this is about the bigger goal of Singularity is to try and solve social problems through exponential technologies, which ends up encompassing areas like virtual reality, data science, both like mixed reality, augmented reality, things like that. I will, if anybody is interested in, being a member, I can put up a link. So, that will redirect you to be a member. And we do have events from time to time, so, you can keep updated. And they also put out some content, that might be relevant to you. So, that's about it. And back to Shane and Deigratia, for the talk.
Thank you, bud. I appreciate you on that. And I would honestly suggest that everyone who's interested, please contact us. We talk through a lot of different notions of how technology can affect both society and social change in the world today. And these can go for a variety of different things. It's not just about video games. It's not just about VR. It's not just about, the phone in your pocket, but it's about the technology that helps people get from point A to point B, whether it be from the infrastructure on the ground to the food that you eat. There's technology involved with you in every single aspect of that. And there's effects of that goes from the very small to the very large. So if you guys want to join us, please feel free to talk to us. We are open to any and everyone. No questions. Well, some questions, but no, not a lot of them.
Well, thank you for that introduction, Shane. What you got going on for us today?
Well, I mean, I mentioned food a little earlier today, so I was actually going to ask you a quick question there, fam. Like, do you eat chicken sandwiches? Are you a chicken eater?
I eat chicken a little bit from time to time.
You really? Because I mean, I went to your birthday party the other day, and I mean, it was kind of chicken theme, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was being sarcastic. Yeah, I eat chicken like every day.
I mean, I'm just letting the people on stream know. I want them to know the truth.
Hey, it's pretty regularly.
Uh-huh.
Daily.
I mean,
It's daily, if not daily.
I'm a chicken eater myself. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. I mean, like, if you don't know, I mean, like, I eat chickens all the times. But are you a Chick-fil-A fan?
Um, so to answer that, it's very difficult. So
Mm,
I grew up enjoying it and loving it. But in recent ages, like I'm not feeling them anymore. So what they have done amazingly is they have an amazingly super fast drive-through, and yet they continue to keep their prices relatively low in an age of inflation and all these restaurants where you're spending $20 on lunch. Chick-fil-A is still it's still a $10 lunch or less. So I respect them for that, what they've done, but over the years, here I am pushing like 30 years of Chick-fil-A, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm starting to not feel it as much as I used to.
I get you on that. I was gonna say, like, one thing I've been trying to do in recent years is I've actually been trying to go through and eat less meat.
Yep.
Trying to, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna become a vegetarian. That's something I would had no interest in being. No, I like meat too much to be a vegetarian, but I do recognize the ethical treatment of animals, at least if they're going to become consumables. And so I want to eat less meat to put less pressure on the kind of this factory farm system. Less factory farms means more ethical treatment. Kind of going from there. And so I've been going around and experimenting with different types of meat. So I've been trying the beef burgers. The black bean burgers and the like. And then I think I heard about Beyond Meats and Impossible Whoppers. I mean, Impossible Meat and all that stuff, but it was still kind of like off in the distance. I couldn't get one at a grocery store.
You can't. They sell them in the grocery store now. You should be able to find them in the grocery store.
Oh no, I was saying like just in general. This was like 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but like now, you're very correct. Like nowadays, it's all over the joint. Like Impossible sausages, Impossible burgers, like meat. Like they even have like just ground meat available here. Like if you really want to, you can go to the store and just buy Impossible. Like not have to buy. You can buy meat without having to buy the meat. It's insane. Did you get a chance? I mentioned chicken earlier. Did you get a chance to try KFC when they were doing their vegan wings?
No, but I remember just hearing about it, but I did not get a chance to try it.
I remember I had a buddy of mine stay in line for about 2 hours because they only had it available in a few places here in Atlanta. Stay in line for 2 hours trying to go through and get some of those chicken wings.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't done more with them. I suppose they haven't been plastering that all over the place. But the reason why I asked that is that I'm hearing word through the grapevine that our good friends at Burger King are pushing for the introduction of a vegan chicken sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking that's huge.
That would be interesting.
What? There's no excitement there. I mean, I'm surprised.
The reason because I'm not a vegan, so to have that, I'm just trying to put myself in a vegan's mindset. It was like just because they offer vegan food at KFC, I don't know if I'm gonna go get that.
Well, no. So what I mean by vegan sandwich is like imagine that as Impossible chicken. So you know how you have the Impossible Whopper? Like it'll be Impossible. They're doing Impossible chicken now.
Oh, okay. Like you said vegan chicken. I'm thinking like no meat versus Impossible meat.
Yeah. And I'm thinking that's a huge deal right there, fam.
I don't know because vegans. Think about it from a vegan standpoint. So they only got the one thing at this restaurant to eat for a vegan.
So let me put it like this, right? Think of it like less like that and more like think about it more like this. I had a buddy of mine who, if you're a vegan, it's not just if you're a vegan, but if you're a vegetarian, that gives you options as well.
Vegetarian is a little bit more flexible than vegan, so yes to that.
True, but I mean, like if you're a vegetarian, you can eat vegan food no problem.
Right.
Like you might just go towards a vegan diet versus a like if you see something vegan and damn well there's no meat in it, you just accept that and go about your business.
Well, with a vegetarian, they could eat the macaroni and cheese, they could eat the French fries and all the other stuff there. But vegan, it's very, the definition of that is very restrictive.
Oh, most definitely. But my point is that it becomes I think that what we're seeing here is that by putting this kind of stuff in fast food joints, you're making this more available to the masses. They don't even like beforehand. This is the kind of thing that you would see in like a highfalutin kind of joint, you know.
Uh-huh.
Like you had to go to some fancy smancy vegan restaurant in the middle of goddamn Atlanta, where you gotta go to some fancy schmancy vegan restaurant in the middle of Atlanta, have to, find a place to park, have to go through this, have to sit down, and then pay 15, $20 for what is functionally a beef sandwich. If you're
Yep.
an average American consumer, would you pay for that?
I don't know.
Would you pay? Let me ask you this question: but would you pay? Do you want to pay $20 for a burger on a regular basis?
That's what I see the culture has moved to. I'm not. Hey, the answer to your question is no. Does it happen regularly? Yes.
Well, we also live in the middle of
Shane, we lost you,
Atlanta.
brother.
But what I'm saying is that if you're not in the periphery of Atlanta, you were not getting a Impossible burger or an Impossible chicken sandwich at one point in time. Now that you live closer to it, like now we're seeing this, like we're seeing fast food joints like Burger King, like Chick-fil-A, like KFC, going through and trying to interact with this new food technology, and as a result, this is becoming more and more acceptable to the masses. It's becoming, for lack of a better word, mainstream.
Yep. So
Like
this
my
says right here,
mom has
KFC adds
dropped
vegan
most
chicken
meat,
sandwich to
right?
permanent menu across
She
Canada.
doesn't eat beef. She doesn't eat pork. She doesn't eat. She doesn't eat beef. She doesn't eat pork. She barely. She does. She's trying to cut off chicken, but and because of that, she's now like a lot of the food. Like it becomes incredibly difficult to shop with her. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. D, you're saying something?
Yeah, it was.
Because I cannot.
I
Give me a
pulled up
second
an
here. Give
ad.
me a
I'm sharing
second.
the screen, and the ad says KFC adds vegan chicken sandwich to permanent menu across Canada.
Mm-hmm.
This was posted August 5th, 2020.
Yep. But it still hasn't come down here to America though.
Oh, it's an old article. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's like almost 7 or 8 months ago. Let me see.
Yep.
Let me see if I can find one for US.
Yep. So like look up Burger King and Chick-fil-A. I'm sorry, that Burger King Impossible or Beyond chicken sandwich. There's something I saw earlier today.
Burger King.
Yep. Because Burger King has been the
Burger King
pioneer of this.
Impossible Whopper vegan.
Mm-hmm. Well, not just of Impossible. I'm talking about the chicken sandwich.
But, hold on, a chicken sandwich at Burger King.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Impossible chicken sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
Possible chicken.
Or
To add to this, Shane, so I have some vegan friends, and it's very interesting to see what they've done with mock meats. So last weekend, I was out with them, and so first thing is there are a lot of restaurants coming up which just have affordable vegan food,
Yep.
and they have vegan sushi, they have vegan shrimp balls, and chicken and beef and everything on the menu, and would be interesting, for me to see would be if this leads to higher adoption vegan food.
I think we're in the beginning to see that.
So this
For a lot
article
of
says, can y'all see the article?
I can see the article.
It says Burger King UK to debut vegan chicken predicts 50% of menu will be plant-based by 2031. 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think they're being, and I think that's pretty impressive right there. And the cost of these like Impossible and Beyond Meat stuff is only going to drop as they get better at it. It's dropping. And what I'm thinking about is this, right? If you cannot tell the difference, like for me, the biggest thing that's stopping, and I was going to answer kind of Mithril's note, I want to say like the biggest thing that was stopping me from really wanting to go into this vegetarian thing is I like meat too much, for lack of a better word. And it's just tragic, but it's true. I like a burger. I like the taste of a burger. I like the taste of like fried chicken and a chicken sandwich. But it's becoming But by making they realize that these companies realize that, and they're designing their foods to taste indistinguishable. Like I've had an Impossible Whopper in one hand and a Beef Whopper in the other hand, and I eat them both at the same time. I couldn't tell you the difference. When I go to Burger King, I've gone to Burger King more often now because I'm like, well, I mean, I'll just go and get an Impossible Whopper. It costs the same as a regular Whopper. It costs the same as a regular Whopper, and then I just go through it and whatever.
So I mean, the article. Let's test the article.
Mm-hmm.
It's in 10 years. Do you think we'll be there back in 10 years?
So I mean, Burger King saying 50% of their menu is going to be plant based in 10 years is, I mean, that's a metric they can stand to lose. They can make that happen if they wanted it. They go back more towards the notion of, do I see other places beginning to do that menu? Honestly, yes. I'm going to say I'm making a bold, semi-bold prediction here that by 2025, every fast food chain is going to have some variation of impossible plant-based meat on their menu.
2025.
2025.
I won't even let you say all of them. Just even constrain it to the majors.
McDonald's going to have it. McDonald's going to have it. Burger King already have it. KFC is going to bring that down south to America. Taco Bell is going to start doing it. Other companies are going to start doing it as well. It's just a matter of time. KFC and Taco Bell are owned by the same company. Why not? Because the thing about it is this, right? Turns out vegans, like, it's for one, vegan, like, people want. There is a construction that, I mean, is it healthier for you to eat one of these burgers versus a regular Whopper? Probably not, frankly. It's probably going to be about the same in terms of caloric intake, same in terms of, like, whether it's good for you or not. That's irrelevant. But what people like to imagine, like, there's two types of people I want to imagine who's going to go with this. The first are people who are concerned about the treatment of the environment and ethical treatment of animals. There are people who want to become vegan, who want to stop eating a lot of meat, but like me, they like the taste of meat too much. My mom will never become a vegan because she likes the taste of milk. She likes milk too much. But she's more willing to become vegetarian if every food that she has available just tastes like it. I know people who are who are willing to drop meat, who are willing to drop meat, but they just love fish too much. But now that sushi is available as a vegan option, they're willing to just throw it out. They're willing to make the change. It's much more convenient for people to live their lives about that. And the adoption is not necessarily going to be in the cities where people like me and you live, where we're a little bit more, for lack of a better word, more in tune to those kind of environmental arguments. It's going to be adopted out there in the countryside. It's going to be adopted in people who live in suburbia, who live in the rural areas. That's going to be the change right there.
Percent vegans in US.
No. Like, in my opinion, don't even think about will we see more vegans in the US? Yes.
I like numbers. I'm an engineer, and I like facts and hardcore numbers. Mm-hmm. So here's one that says, what percent of the world is vegans?
And you're going to see that increase. Why? Because
how many vegans are in the world right now? 2021.
It's going to increase. Why? Because you don't have to eat, because it's so much easier to not eat meat now than it ever been before.
Look at this chart. This is a good chart. Again, it's still opinion because I don't know who made the chart, so the internet will tell you anything you want.
I mean, I'll say there's a funny Google skit. There's a funny skit about Google where a woman goes up and asks, "Does vaccine causes childhood problems?" Right? Mm-hmm. The guy representing Google says, "Okay, I have 100 articles saying no, and this one article saying yes." The woman grabs that article and walks off saying, "I knew it."
Yeah.
And to quote the guy, just because he has it doesn't mean it's true. But go on with your point.
Yeah, absolutely. The internet is not the source of truth. All right, let me rephrase it. Google is not the source of truth.
Aye. Nor should it, but I mean, I digress. But here's the bit, right?
Oh, here we go. A new study. How old is this when it says new? This is March 2020. A year old. A new study reveals 9.6 million Americans are vegan. Now, a 300% increase. No, that's not constrained, so I don't know what 300% means, so you gotta read the article. From 2004 to 2019. Okay, so it's about 9 to 10 million vegans in the world. Sorry, in the U.S.
Now, I think that might be a bit of an exaggeration there, but honestly, I mean, this is called vegan news, but let's consider that a very, very positive kind of example. When it boils down to, even if you split that in half, 4.5 million people, let's say that instead of 9 million, it's 4.5 million people in the United States today are vegan. That is more than the population of Rhode Island, a U.S. state.
It's 3% of the population.
That's still considerable.
I'm just giving you the numbers.
But that's still considerable, right? Like, that is a considerable amount of people in this country, and it's only going to increase. And that's not even counting not necessarily vegan. Think about vegetarian. If you add the word vegan and plus vegetarian, how much does that become? That jumps up more. And and the reason why is because now, because of the way the new proliferation of this of Beyond Meats and the like, it becomes incredibly easy for people to access it. And that's the thing, convenience. Let me put it like this: if I say, okay, Deigratia, here you go. Here's a hot dog right here. There's a hot dog 1 foot in front of you, or you can go 1 mile down the road and get a responsibly sourced hot dog that was made ethically and without hurting any animals. However, not only is that hot dog 1 mile down the road, it's also twice as expensive. Which one would you get? The hot dog I put in front of you, or that nice ethical, make you not feel bad about yourself hot dog 1 mile down the road?
My dude. I have no concern about how the animal is treated. I will slaughter it, chop his head and watch it bounce. Sorry, I know that's graphic.
I mean, you're also. That's something there. That's how a lot of people feel. But what I'm trying to say is that when it's a mile down the road, it's much easier to make that. That's a harder decision to make. You're not going to go a mile down the road. You're going to go to the thing that's right next to you, right?
What was that? Say that again.
True, and that's the whole marshmallow test, playing a factor too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But if it's right next to you, if I say, okay, Deigratia, here there's this hot dog right here. There's this regular hot dog right here. And now there's this ethically treated hot dog that the animals were not tortured or maimed or anything like that. And they're right next to each other. And the ethical treated hot dog is only maybe a nickel more. So the regular hot dog's $1. The ethically treated hot dog, with the animals were actually treated well, is $1.05. Are you at least a little bit more tempted to eat the other hot dog?
I'll give you that. I may be a little bit more tempted.
Exactly, because it's right there next to you. And while you're not even affected by that argument. You're not affected by the argument of, was animal ethically treated? No. But there are people who are affected by that argument. And so they're willing to pay that extra nickel if it's right there next to them. It's easier for them to get about it. And eventually
2 miles down the road and it's twice the price. I'm like, nah, I ain't messing with that one. I mean, this hot dog right in front of me.
Exactly. And I don't blame you. That's just logical. Yeah. But if it's right there next to you and it's only a nickel more, then that becomes easier. And eventually, let's say I take that nickel away from you. Here's the ethically treated hot dog, and here's the unethically treated hot dog. This one they're both cost the exact same, and they're both right next to you. Mm-hmm. Which one do you go for?
I'm going with the normal hot dog that I normally eat.
I mean, fair enough. I mean, fuck you. All right, man. I'm sorry. Screw. It's like, okay, fine, fair enough on you. But for other people, for a lot of people, they will go with the other hot dog. Okay, that's my
So when
point.
you say a lot of people, let's quantify some of that stuff. So
Hmm.
a lot of people, let's look at the American population,
Yep.
330 people,
Yep.
right? The current population now who are vegans are 3%. We're saying roughly 3%. So a lot
Yep.
of people, what percentage are you calling a lot of people? Where do you can pick any number. I don't have anything. Pick any number that you're calling a lot.
So I'll put it like this, right? And just follow me for a second here, and I'll give you a number here. 3%. This is 3% at the very beginning of 2020. So they didn't introduce the Impossible Whopper and things like that until August of last year, or until sometime later, right?
Okay.
So this is assuming none of that involved 3%. A lot of people don't want to do things like veganism or even vegetarianism, partly out of convenience. Because it's just inconvenient to get, because they A, want to have the same food they had before, and B, it's just inconvenient. Either it costs too much or it's too far away.
Yep.
However, by making it closer to them, more people are going to begin to adopt it. Do I say that? Am I going to say that 10% of the population is going to become vegan? Not necessarily. Not anytime. Not maybe not right now. But I can say that maybe that number is going to jump up to at least 5%. At least 5% by 2031.
In 10 years, you're going to think there's 5% population that's going to be vegan.
Yes. At least.
That's valid. I mean, this chart that shows some notion of growth, it looks like an exponential curve as I look at it.
Yep.
So the growth appears to be exponential.
Honestly, I feel like as though, here's the bit, right? We're going to see an increase of people who are not only people who consider themselves vegan, there's going to be an increase of people who consider themselves vegetarian, and there's going to be an increase, and there's going to be a decrease in the amount of meat eaten in general. So what I'm predicting is a decrease in the amount of meat. I'll be generous and say a 20%. There's going to be a 20% decrease in the amount of meat eaten from 2021 to 2031.
Let's see what that looks like. U.S. meat consumption in the U.S. growing at an alarming rate.
Just right as soon as I said that, right?
Sentient media. Again, none of that stuff is to be believed right out the gate. It just kind of, I have to look at 2 or 3 sources. Never believe a random Google search.
I mean, fair enough. I mean, but we'll see what happens here.
So this is alluding to the notion that beef has a downward trending, but chicken is the one that's on the uprise according to this chart.
Of course
so
it is.
It's going to remain steady. I think beef is the one that's being impacted by the vegan stuff.
Yes, so that's what the Beyond Beef is. It's beyond beef. It's beyond beef, right?
Right. So that's where it was marked at. So there looks like there may be some relationship with a downward trend of meat and impossible or vegan versions of it.
I mean, what I'm saying is that we'll have this conversation in 10 years, D. We'll have it in 10 years, and then we'll go back and if I was wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm right. And you can say, I can say.
It's you can say I right thing. Hey, we just looking at the data. And being that, and Mithel's on the line, help us with this one. Mithil, you're in the data science industry, so point me in the right direction when it comes to data.
So I agree with you, Deigratia, that the trends are different now. But also when you were looking at the vegan people in the US, I did see the curve increasing. And again, with futures and future foresight, it is very difficult to kind of say where things would be. But I think with a higher adoption or more availability on one hand, and because this is going live stream, so like big companies like McDonald's and all these companies are financially invested as well, because I think the advertisement is going to go a long way in changing habits. Because for my friends who are vegan, this is more about novelty. But from somebody who is who eats pork and chicken, for them to transfer, I think it would be a different demographic, completely.
So this is my thought on it. I do think more vegans will the amount of vegans will increase over time. I don't believe it's going to be the fast food industry that does it for us. Now, fast food industry doesn't include all the restaurants and the ways to get it. I just don't think it's going to be the fast food restaurant. Because to me, fast food restaurants and the notion of being a vegan is an oxymoron.
I think that your association with the word vegan is you conjure up the image in your head of someone who's a little bit more affluent. When you think vegan,
What do you mean by that?
Like someone with a little bit more money in their pocket.
No. Vegan is a choice. It's a choice of a healthy lifestyle. And that is not a fast food restaurant.
I honestly don't think. I think that the option is going to change. I think vegan is going to change from the notion of necessarily a healthy lifestyle to simply just being I refuse to eat anything that has ever had a face. Right. I feel like as though the trend is going to be a trend of less of a health choice and more of a lifestyle choice, for lack of a better word.
Right, lifestyle, healthy, all that. But what I do believe, there will be new restaurants that will pop up to serve that community the food they want. So the old guard fast food restaurants are quickly trying to adapt because we've seen a ton of restaurants that have popped up charging twice the price of food that they have been traditionally selling, making a lot more money with a lot less effort because they're catering to a different crowd of individuals that have decided to have a healthier lifestyle, especially when it comes to the food they eat. That's what I've seen.
And I agree to disagree on that one. I think it's gonna be. Honestly, I didn't bring this up to bring up the note of this is how I view veganism in the next 20 years, but rather this is how I view we're going to be seeing an entirely different community of people who are going. I feel like people are going to slowly but surely begin to go less and less meat. And I feel like that's one of those things where technology kind of affects just the way you eat,
So this is why I wanted to hear you say that, something along that notion. And I want to say, are you planning to eat less and less meat every year?
Yeah, actually I am.
Okay, well, hey, there you go. Sounds legit.
Yeah, I'll put it like this: whenever I'll tell you like this from a business standpoint. I'm curious to see how Burger King's trends are going. Beforehand, whenever I left my house and I was going to go to a fast food joint, and I just needed to, okay, whatever, I don't give a damn. I want a burger of some sort. So I would go to Checkers. I would go to Checkers. I would go to Wendy's. I would go to Mickey D's every now and again. Mm-hmm. I actually would never go to Burger King all that often. Now, if I were to take my notes from the last 5 months, it would be mainly Burger King. Mm. I mainly go to Burger King, and I don't even necessarily just buy the Whopper, the Impossible Whopper. My brother doesn't really believe in that kind of thing. He doesn't want an Impossible Whopper. He doesn't even like burgers in general, but he loves chicken nuggets. So I will go there. I'm going to go buy me an Impossible Whopper, buy the mother an Impossible Whopper, and I will buy my brother some chicken, chicken nuggets.
Yep.
I would go there and occasionally I buy a chicken sandwich or something like that for other people.
Yep.
I'm less likely to go to my purchasing decision has become I'm less likely to go to other restaurants and more likely to go to Burger King. And that is something that I imagine for many of the Burger King sales reps, they're pleased by.
Hey, true that.
Mm-hmm. But I was going to say, speaking of things like going away from things that are coming into your mouth, I want to talk briefly about things that are going out of your mouth.
Okay, what you got?
So let me ask you a question, D. Can you speak any other language other than English?
I used to be able to speak Spanish and Arabic, but I hadn't used them in a while. So I speak English, and then let's see, what other language can I speak? I can speak English. Mm-hmm. And some various different dialects of English.
Ĉu vi parolas Esperanton?
Oh no. Do you? Do you
I'm
speak
learning,
it? Can you
actually.
speak it?
I'm learning.
Good.
Let me make a brief aside here because this is actually not what I want to talk about, but I just want to make a brief aside here. Have you ever heard of Esperanto?
Briefly, let's ask Mythil.
I'm afraid not.
So Esperanto is the world's most popular, and this is for everyone, including Mithra, who don't know what it is. Esperanto is the world's most popular constructed language. Some people even go through and say artificial, but I would say constructed because I like that name. I like that word better because this is a language that was designed in with the express purpose of being easy to learn, easy to speak, and easy to understand. Esperanto is designed as a language. Is designed by a guy named L.L. Zamenhof back in the 1800s, and the goal of it was to create an international language that's easy to learn, easy to speak, and helpful. Maybe can help promote, understanding amongst people. That did it succeed in that lesson? Not really, but personally, I enjoy the language as a teaching tool. I'm a guy who loves languages, right? I'm not gonna lie to you and say I know I can speak. I'm a polyglot and I can speak 100 different languages and all that stuff. But what I like about Esperanto is that it's the equivalent of learning the recorder, in the sense that it makes it easier for people to, once you learn Esperanto, it teaches you the trends and the flow of other languages, particularly European languages. The languages, when it was designed, it was designed to be it took a lot of words and a lot of diction from all sorts of languages, right? But it's for all sorts of European style languages. But once you take it away from that, it becomes a little bit easier for someone who's not very familiar with those languages to learn it, particularly if you're an English speaker. Like, there's ways of conjugation and like that are not necessarily familiar with other languages that exist for, say, English. I feel Esperanto helps serve to kind of go through and make it easier for people to get. It's a relatively small community. I admit that. Only about 2 million people learn it, but there are people who learn it as a first language. And Deigratia is going through my whole spiel as I'm scrolling through my whole spiel, basically, as I'm talking through it. It's I would say that with the rise of the internet, it has become easier and easier to learn Esperanto, to go through and teach it, because it's a fascinatingly easy language to learn. Have you guys ever heard of a program called Duolingo?
No, remind us of it.
So Duolingo is a app/website that is devoted to trying to teach people languages. It offers a variety of different languages. You can actually put it online right for it real quick, D. Just DUO Lingo. It's all one word.
Oh, one word?
Yep. Yeah, no, it's the first bit. It's the first bit. It's designed to go through and try to teach people, various different languages. Personally, and I know we're on the website here, and I'm so sorry to any passionate Duolingo fans. It's not a very effective means of learning new languages, frankly. It's a good starter course, I suppose, like if you want to get some exposure to a new language. But if you're learning it to say, like you expect to do Duolingo for a year and expect to know Spanish or something like that, I'm gonna disappoint you guys and say no, that's not gonna be the case here. There's so many nuances to Spanish and other Spanish, Japanese, Chinese, and the like that Duolingo just can and will not cover. However,
yeah, I agree with that, Chane. Sorry to interrupt you. So I was trying to learn Spanish through this, and I think it is good for just functional language. So you can learn some phrases and use it. To actually understand the syntax and the structures, conjugations, and everything, I think maybe it needs something as a support, because I learned French for 3 years, so I was able to pick that up the app because I had some idea of the structure of the language.
Mm. It's
So yeah.
it's good if you I would say even as a support, for lack of a better word. Like imagine if you're already learning French, or you say learning French or learning Japanese, it's good for little kind of supports. I honestly find the grammar of it to be very weird sometimes. So the sentences they choose and the way they phrase their grammar are not very effective. Like for example, I'll give you an easy one here. In Japanese, the word for a male, like one of the words you can use for a male is kare, and one of the words for a female is kanojo. And forgive me to all my Japanese speakers out there if my pronunciation is piss. I apologize. But my point is that kare and kanojo can mean he or she, right? So, for example, to give you a sample sentence, say kare wa gakusei desu. Kare wa gakusei desu, or kanojo wa gakusei desu. So what that means is that could mean literally that he is a student, she is a student, right? But functionally, in Japanese, they never use the word kare or kanojo. At least not in that kind of pronoun structure,
Mm-hmm.
They would never say he is a student like that. Like kare wa kanojo, kare wa gakusei desu would never mean that kind of thing, right? You would never mean he is a student. Then when they use kare or kanojo, they're actually referring to a sort of significant other most of the time,
Mm-hmm.
So kare would be like saying boyfriend. Kanojo would be like saying your girlfriend.
Okay.
So you wouldn't use it in that sort of you wouldn't use it like the way I would say like he's over there or she's over there, right? That's like if I would say kare wa asoko desu or kare or something like that. That's like me saying the equivalent of my boyfriend's over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's a whole different connotation than no some generic male is over there.
Yeah.
Like imagine me and Deigratia are hanging out somewhere, and I say we're in Japan, and I say, oh, and they're asking, hey, where's Deigratia? And I say, oh, kare wa asoko desu. Like that's kind of like whoa, hang on a second, that's a different kind of connotation right there.
Mm-hmm.
Than the actual what you would say it. Like they don't even use pronoun. Like they don't even use those kind of those kind of gendered pronouns like that very often, frankly,
Mm-hmm.
unless you want to be dead specific. And even then, you can kind of guess who it is from context clues. But Duolingo, despite those flaws, is a very effective tool for learning Esperanto.
Yep.
Because Esperanto as a language, incredibly simple. Its conjugation does not change. It's conjugated the exact same way every single time, no matter what.
Yeah.
If it's a boy, like say mi parolas Esperanton, like parolas is the same. If it's me, if it's the grate, if it's his wife, if it's the little boy or it's a little girl, it's always the same exact way. Parolas is present. Parolis is past, and parolos is future. The exact same way every single time.
Yeah, that's awesome. That does make it easy.
Yeah, and so if you're now, how many people speak that? That's one thing, right? But I think the more important thing is like if you're trying to teach people that kind of notion of conjugation, especially in the way English conjugates versus say other languages, I feel like that's a very effective language to kind of help them understand that.
Yeah.
Like if you're not used to the idea that in English we conjugate words, we conjugate them in a way that's kind of weird versus other languages. So Esperanto is a very useful tool in that regard. But that's actually not even this is actually a whole this is a whole side tangent outside of what I was actually going to say.
Maybe we should pick it up for another one and wrap this one up here. We are at 8:00.
Okay, then. So I'll tell you what. Since this has already been an Esperanto talk, I might as well finish it off here. Esperanto is a very interesting tool, though. I mean, personally, I would view it less as I wouldn't actually say everyone should speak Esperanto. In a perfect world, if it was up to me, in a perfect world, everyone would know Esperanto as a second language.
Yep.
Basically, like imagine this, right? Like let's say that you're here in America now, right?
I
And
am.
you go to Germany, for lack of a better, for just as off the top of my head. If you go to Germany, you try to speak, someone's trying to talk to you, you'll be like, I don't understand what you're trying to tell me, blah 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 blah, et cetera, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if someone goes up to you, if you both knew Esperanto, you don't have to try to mangle your way through German, and he doesn't have to try to mangle his way through English. You both meet in the middle, meet at some other language that's easy and quick to learn. You can learn Esperanto in a month.
But what about the other non-Western based languages, which would probably dominate the world as opposed to, we Western based speakers?
So while it's true that in the curse of a lot of the words are based off of English or like Western words, right? So like the Germanic word for a day is Tag, and in Esperanto is Tago, which is a day. If you're coming from say Japan, which is something like Nichi or He or something like that, or Ka, those are that means nothing to you. But if you're trying to learn, but the cost is more like this, right? If you're from an Asiatic or a African nation, where you're less exposure to, the European Western kind of languages, it's not impossible. Don't forget, all the grammar is incredibly easy. It just means that it's a harder time learning vocabulary. It'll be like almost you'll be the imagine trying to learn Chinese, where instead of where you have to learn all the vocabulary, but the grammar is incredibly simple.
Yeah, but what about the 1 billion people who already know Chinese? Why can't
Well,
we learn an Esperanto version of Chinese?
I mean, what would an Esperanto version of Chinese look like?
Well, I mean, it seems like Esperanto was made with a formula. So
Well,
you just take that same formula and
part of the, I mean, part of
apply it to the most popular language in the world.
well, I mean, so I'll put it like this, right? I could see a possibility of something like that going on there. Personally, I feel like as though it wouldn't for all the Esperanto speakers who learned and already learned. The language is while a living one, and there's people who add new words. They add new words in a particular way. You're basically would tell the Esperanto speakers, "Hey, so the grammar stays the same, but now we're gonna add a crap ton of new vocab words. So those old vocab words, forget them. You gotta use the new ones now." And people are not like that in real life, of course. I feel like as though the better solution will be to gradually introduce more and more new words, into the language, and then try to slowly but surely take older words out. So maybe use use a Chinese derivative or Eastern Asian or even Indian or sort of Indian subcontinent style derision of certain words. If you want to really approach that kind of notion. You're correct that 1.4 billion people speak 1.4 billion people speak some variation of a Semitic, not Semitic. I meant to say a Sinaitic language. But what about all the people in, say, for example, India who speak some kind of who speak various languages there? Whether it be I don't remember all the names for the language families there, but that's 1.5 billion people there who do not speak necessarily an Asiatic language. I mean and by Asiatic I mean Eastern Asia language.
Right.
To answer your question, though, I feel like as though, and I ain't gonna lie to you and say I'm an expert on Esperanto. Perhaps these are probably talks that they're bringing up themselves, But I'm curious to see. I mean, we could see something like that in the next couple of years, where they slowly begin to modify Esperanto to be more inclusive of these other languages, or even some people might even argue that, hey, Esperanto is so easy to learn already that we don't need to change anything. Like, while it may be a little bit while it might be a bit more of a stumbling block for these people to learn, it's certainly easier for them to learn Esperanto than it is for them to learn English, for example.
Yeah, but when they get a job that says English required, why go to why add an extra step? Just go straight to English.
So the note of that becomes like, I'll make it like this, and you're a music guy, right?
Yep.
So if you're teaching someone an instrument, a lot of people use the recorder to teach people to use an instrument, right?
I'm following you because I'm teaching music, and that is not something I don't use. So go ahead and follow it out so I can follow you.
Follow me here. So some people teach people they use the recorder.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the goal is not to make them an expert of the recorder. The recorder is just an easy and simple tool to help them get into other languages. There's people who say that spend a month on a recorder, like, it teaches you enough music theory to make it much faster for you to learn other instruments, particularly if they're woodwind and the like. Now, again, I'm not an expert on that. That's the kind of notion you have for Esperanto, where we're spending 1 month in 1 month in Esperanto makes it easier for you to understand Western languages than it would be if you just dive headfirst in there. You can argue and say, oh, why do I need to learn? Why spend 1 month in Esperanto? I can spend that. But some people are saying, there's studies saying 1 month of Esperanto is the equivalent of just, in terms of getting you used to speaking the language if you're not familiar with it, to 3 months of just trying to dive head first.
Yeah, I can see it. So it's like the white belt, or it's the white belt, the yellow belt, then the green belt.
Yeah. So you spend a little bit of time learning Esperanto to make it easier for you to jump into a different language. Okay. You're not trying to learn Esperanto in itself. You're trying to learn English, but Esperanto makes it a little bit easier for you to jump into English rather than diving directly into English itself. Mithril, you had a thought on that?
So I'm thinking that, from this discussion, I'm understanding that Esperanto is easier to learn. So that means that it has a simpler, grammar and syntax and things like that. So I am curious to know, how that would pan out in terms of computation. Because if it is a universal language, then and easier linguistics, computers it'll be easier for people to code in it, perhaps.
I mean, that's something to consider right there too. Mind you, it's one I would say in a naked environment, in a pure environment, I would agree with that. Computation, like if you look at things like, say, Google Translate, for example, they were able to figure out how to translate things into Esperanto very quickly, and it's a very useful tool for them just designing their programming tool. In regards to programming, I agree with that. If you were making it so where programming Esperanto is easier for everyone to kind of go to that one base and learn versus, other things, versus English. But I will make a comparison to, I'm a fan of professional wrestling. And in Japan, they have professional wrestling in Japan, in Europe, in Mexico, and in the United States. And even though they all don't speak, even though the wrestlers may speak different languages, they call moves and they call spots and actions run. They call that in English, and they've been doing it for so long that everyone has it has become the universal language almost by default. And it's not so much that every wrestler can speak perfect English, but they know enough English to call a match. So, for example, if they say run to the corner and then jump over the rope, they can say that in English. And everyone, whether you're from Europe, whether you're from Mexico, whether you're from Japan, whether you're from America, everyone knows that same language. Everyone knows it. It's become a flat language in that regards. The same thing applies to programming in here. I feel like as though programming has been in English for so long now that it has become like you don't think about it anymore. You don't just because you write your code in English doesn't mean that you're fluent in English, but you could recognize it. It's become somewhat standardized in that regards. At least that's what I think.
I agree with that. I'm just thinking that I see languages as like social networks. The stronger or bigger the user base is, the more people gravitate towards it. And I think that's why, English is like the unofficial, language that most of the research is done in, most of the jobs needed. So again, like an open question on, the adoption, because people, so on the other hand, I'm thinking, I'm reminded of the Tesla, the car that they launched in space that said made on Earth instead of made in the US. So I think that it could be a unifying factor, and also, like you said, the analogy of wrestling. That even though languages are different, moves are pretty much same, and there are aspects of the language that everybody picks up. So I do see, I think that there is definitely value there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's going to be an interesting bit here, frankly. Now, I mean, I speak about Esperanto. Do I see that going to be that's going to really take off in the next 10 years? Probably not. Probably not. But as a fan of the language, I will be remiss if I didn't use my platform to speak on it for a little bit here. But D, we're rolling into the final minutes of this of our session here. What do you have for us here?
Yep. Hey, I just want to say real quick before we end this thing. Today, everybody, was the day that humans flew a powered aircraft on another planet. April 19th, 2021.
Just before 420.
Just think about this. Just over 100 years ago, we just figured out how to fly. Period. A little over 100 years later, we're flying on other planets. So here's a video of Ingenuity drone. It's a dual-bladed helicopter that was on Perseverance, and it had its first test flight today. It's been going through tests for about 2-3 weeks to get prepared for this day. They had some delays about a week ago, so it was pushed back. It had a software update last week, and a few days after checking everything after the software patch, it flew. So it went up about 3 meters, hovered there for a few seconds, about 9 seconds, and then it came back down. Perfect, flawless. You see it there? Landed back on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to make notion of that, because today humans took a step forward, a big step forward.
I agree. Honestly, one of the things that fascinates me about this kind of, well, first of all, this is a video of Mars, and it just kind of it feels so Earth-like, for lack of a better word. Like, I mean, I know that it boggles my mind, frankly. Just like to imagine, we're getting video, and very good video, actually, as a matter of fact, of another planet right here.
Yep.
And we're watching a drone take off on another planet.
Yep.
It's just flying about, doing its thing, and then, charging, coming back, little things.
So maybe on our next show, we'll talk about what has been happening on Mars for the last 2-3 months. We're on Sol like 60, 65. I'm not sure which day we are, but we're around there. And the Sol is a day on Mars. So we're about 60 of those into the rovers landing there. So they've been moving really rapid about the things they've done. So here's an image from the perspective of the drone looking down at its shadow. And what you can tell by this image, it's a really quick image because the blades are moving, tens of thousands of times per second, and that shadow has no streaks. That's a fast camera.
Mm-hmm. I mean, frankly, it is absolutely just incredible just to think about that.
Yep.
I think I remember me and you having a discussion, D, where we discussed colonization. I know this is a little bit, it's a little early for that, but I remember us having a discussion on, frankly, just colonizing, like going to another planet, colonizing it. Like, and we were discussing what would be the better option. Should we go to somewhere like should we go to somewhere like Mars? Should we go further out and like go down to Jupiter, like Europa and the like? Maybe Venus and find tricks and traps to getting around that. And we were discussing it in such a and frankly such a kind of blasé sort of, oh, it'll be there eventually kind of way. But when I look at things like this, when I see this, it honestly, it blows my mind.
Yep.
Just to know how close it is to me.
Yep.
To see, like, the thought that there might be a man on Mars within my lifetime. I don't know about yours, D. You're kind of old, but I mean, in my lifetime, it's very fascinating to me.
Yep. Yep. But all points to have on our next talk. So let's go ahead and wrap our show up tonight, and we'll get up out of here.
All right. I know you got a little. So I'll make this one brief. So to everyone out there in TV land, I want to thank you all so much for joining us here. I appreciate all of you immensely, and for letting us talk to you about, you know, Esperanto and beef and beyond beef for about an hour. We appreciate you. I want to thank Mithril for coming out here to join us. I want to thank SingularityU for allowing us to talk on their behalf here. I personally appreciate all of it, frankly. That said, I want to thank you, D, for joining me again, as always, tonight.
Chane, it is my pleasure. I enjoy talking with you all night. And as we already know, we could talk all night. We've done it many times in the past.
So let me ask this quick question to you, fam. Just real quick there. Where can the people find you, D? How can the people get to know you?
Hey, y'all can find me on Facebook. I say that twice because I have two Facebooks. But you can find me on Twitter, LinkedIn. You can find me on Discord. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on YouTube. Just type in Deigratia Daniels. I'm typically the one that comes up. Specifically on Facebook, I am Deigratia Daniels, techno activist. Find me there. Chane, how do we find you, brother?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you guys can find Facebook as well. You can also find me at LinkedIn at Chane, CHAN, GRANT, Grant. I also am known to frequent the spots around here in Atlanta, so you'll probably see me at the local ramen shop and whatnot. I want to say to all of you guys, thank you so much for joining us. Just join us in general. Mithril has posted the link to the Atlanta chapter. We will make sure that link gets out to any and all of those of you who want or are interested in it. That said, I want to say to all of you, thank you so much for joining us there tonight. Let's wrap this up, D. I want to get me a pizza.
I want a hamburger. You got me talking about these hamburgers. I don't even eat hamburgers.
It was working. Go get yourself an